9:08 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I gave like an extended pause there. Mac looked at me a little bewildered. I gave him a thumbs up.
Like, did he forget how to do this?
It's all you. He said to me, it's all you.
It's all you, bro.
Oh, it is a good day. Wednesday, right? It's Wednesday?
Hump day.
Don't say that. Don't.
I made it the stream title just because I know you hate it.
Why?
Because it upsets you. It gives me a laugh.
Okay. Bell has like these creative, fun titles.
Oh, he does.
For Matt Murphy's show on the stream. I get none of that. I get like, hey, it's Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, you'll say the one thing I don't like.
Yeah, I said, Hump Day. Chris Anna's live until noon. Let's get this party started. There you go.
Is it a party?
It's a party, man.
I'm really disappointed in the titles. I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are, however you may be listening or watching, either on the TuneIn app, the iHeartRadio app, the old school FM dial, on SuperTalk TV, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all the things, everywhere you need to be. And if you miss a little, you miss a lot. You can always check the podcasts on Apple and Spotify. Did I get everything in under 10 seconds? I think that I did.
Impressive.
That was off the cuff.
I mean, we just have so many links. We have so many ways to access our amazing content. So that was impressive.
We do. How do people keep getting caught undercover? You know what I mean? If you're a government official and you find yourself on a dating app, I would suggest don't. Just don't. Or like lie about your job. Because it seems like so many officials are being caught on dates, on undercover stings, right? It happens over and over and over again. We've seen it made popular via James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, now at OMG Media. But there's another group doing it as well, Sound Investigations. And Sound Investigations caught a current CIA official, former FBI official, undercover, on a date, on tape, admitting all sorts of amazing things. All sorts of amazing things. Let me just play the highlights for you, and then we'll dig into this. I mean, they literally say that the FBI can put anyone in jail for anything, and it's not entrapment because they just get as close as they can to entrapment without going over the line.
You can kind of put anyone in jail if you know what to do.
How?
You set them up.
Does the Bureau practice entrapment a lot?
And we get really close. We call it a nudge.
A nudge.
A nudge. Sometimes you just gotta give them a quick little, just to see what happens. Sometimes you light the fuse and just wait for it to follow. Nothing like putting out a fake social media thing to like really get people mad.
Alex Jones.
Yeah, so we were after him.
You are?
We did what we wanted.
Which was what?
Took his money away, chopped his legs off.
So he's saying that the FBI can do pretty much whatever it wants. The CIA can do pretty much whatever it wants. These are things that we know, but it's just amazing to hear it from the horse's mouth. Now, I will say this. The man is undercover on a date. Could he be possibly embellishing things to make himself seem, badder and tougher than he is? Absolutely. That's absolutely within the realm of possibility. But who is this gentleman, and why is this important?
Gavin O'Blennis is a contracting officer at the CIA. O'Blennis worked for the FBI in 2021 and 2022 in the San Diego office, moved on to Homeland Security where he conducted asylum interviews at the southern border, and now works for the CIA managing multi-million-dollar contracts across government agencies and private sector vendors.
Gavin O'Blennis, I mean, he has a resume, right? Homeland Security, FBI, CIA. And in his own words, he talks about how the FBI is giving people a nudge. It's not entrapment. It's a nudge to get people to do, all sorts of crimes.
I work like this without, I'm not supposed to tell people kind of job. If I say intelligence, what do you think?
CIA?
Yep.
Oh, you work for the CIA?
I do.
That's incredible.
I'm a contracting officer.
That's amazing.
So I deal a lot with different agencies. We're contracting with Director of National Intelligence to do stuff. We do Navy, Army, any of them really. FBI. I used to work for the FBI, so they threw the FBI at me. They're like, here, you used to work there. Oh, I'm permanent. I'm staff. Yeah.
Good. Well, why do they call it contracting?
Because I do the contract facility. I do all the legal contracts. I fly out to vendors and evaluate them. I love the agency.
Good for you.
I like the Bureau, too. The Bureau was a lot of fun. I got to do a lot of cool stuff with the Bureau. I was the guy in the back of the truck in the van.
So in his own words, he works for all of these companies. He's worked for the FBI, works for the CIA. He's a contracting officer. He's handling $1 million contracts and all sorts of things. This is a boss at the CIA. This is a boss. And he should know better than to be flapping his gums on a date, right? Wouldn't you assume? This is why I'm taking it with a grain of salt, but a lot of this information isn't really surprising when he says, you can put anyone in jail. It's not entrapment. We're just giving him a nudge. I think a lot of us feel that way about the FBI anyway, that this is kind of how it happens. I mean, we just saw a 70-year-old grandmother get found guilty, and she's being sentenced to jail for going inside the Capitol and praying. That was her crime. They can do all sorts of things if they put their mind to it. But this is Gavin O'Blennis. He works for the CIA, formerly worked for the FBI. And he says, we can put anyone in jail if we try hard enough.
O'Blennis spoke to an undercover Sound Investigations reporter about his work experience involving near entrapment and his employer's involvement with political commentator Alex Jones's legal battles.
The Alex Jones stuff is fascinating. We'll get to it in a second. But first, he was talking about pro-lifers and how they can get pro-lifers put in jail.
As long as the Bureau is able to progress far enough to be able to put pro-lifers in jail whenever they want.
Yeah.
You think that's on the agenda?
You can kind of put anyone in jail if you know what to do.
How?
You set them up.
Did you hear that? He said, you can put anyone in jail if you know what to do. The undercover person says, how? And he goes, well, you set them up. Oh.
You set them up. You create the situation to where they have no choice but to act on their impulse. And once they act on that impulse, some would call that entrapment. It's a fine line.
Does the Bureau practice entrapment a lot?
We get really close.
Not officially.
No. We get as close as we can. We get as close as we can to it without doing it.
So they can entrap some of these pro-lifers into doing things that they don't.
Depending, yeah. We call it a nudge.
We get as close as we can to entrapment without doing it with these pro-lifers. We call it a nudge. Is this not terrifying to hear it in his own words? And the laws, the just the lax nature of him talking about it. Well, we can do anything, really.
A nudge.
A nudge. Sometimes you just gotta give him a quick little, just to see what happens, right?
And how does that happen?
You put a post out there, or you have someone fake profile say something that triggers, that we know is going to trigger them, right? Like, we already know your history. If we're to that point, we already know everything about it. So we're like, oh, this will piss them off. Sometimes you light the fuse and just wait for it to follow.
He says, if we get to this point, we know everything about you. And we can put out fake social media posts and fake profiles, and we know how to piss you off. So we'll just light the fuse and see what happens. I'm reminded of the FBI busting the plot to the plot by the alt-right extremists to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer, where they basically set the entire thing up. And then it was a literal Spider-Man meme where all the Spider-Mans are pointing at each other like, oh, you're in the FBI, you're in the FBI. It's fascinating. So they put out fake social media to get people mad. That's what they do. They manipulate social media. Again, these are probably things that you already knew, or at least felt in your gut was happening.
Nothing like putting out a fake social media thing to like really get people mad. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's fake news. Yeah, sometimes it's not fake. It's embellished a little bit.
Oh, it's fake news. It's not fake, he says. It's just embellished a little bit. It's embellished a little bit, says the CIA man. Listen, we all know about Operation Mockingbird. You know about Operation Mockingbird, where they implanted CIA agents in mainstream media long, long ago. And they're still practicing these strategies today via social media and most likely via mainstream media as well. But he says that they're after influencers, and the undercover agent for Sound Investigations asked him, what influencers are you after?
Who would be like a big influencer that you're after? You like a, I don't know, like I don't even know these names, like a Fox News person or like a Tucker Carlson or like.
Oh, I'm sure he's on the radar, right? Because you always want the biggest and loudest. Like that, what was his name? The one that said the Sandy Hook didn't happen. It was
Alex Jones.
Yeah, so.
If you're a CIA agent and you don't realize that you're on an undercover sting, the guy says, I don't know any of these people. And he goes, well, we were after, what's his name? The guy that said Sandy Hook was fake. And the undercover guy jumped. Alex Jones? It's like, there's so many red flags here. If this guy is actually working for the CIA, he should have known something was up. It almost makes me more nervous that our FBI and CIA officials are so inept to understand that they're on a sting operation. But, he says, listen, we're not really after Tucker. We go after the loudest voices, though. And we're going after, or did go after, Alex Jones.
We were after him.
You are? Are you still after him? Why?
Because he's broke. He got found guilty and had to pay like $100 million.
So why were you after him?
We're not anymore.
Just to get the money from him?
Yeah.
Was that court case used? Was that a CIA
Sure
thing?
was.
That was an agency thing?
Well, actually, it was a defamation case. So it's a civil, not government. But we were looking at all of his followers, commenting, following, like, who's that going to make this to, right?
So they said, not only are we looking at Alex Jones, but we looked at his followers, too. Who could this lead us to? It's fascinating. So after the break, I want to play for you a clip where he talks about how they encouraged the civil suit against Alex Jones. Plus, I have Alex Jones's comments and reaction to this undercover investigation going public. Next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. I love My Patriot Supply. It's emergency food so you can care for your family no matter what. And today, we're fixing creamy chicken flavored rice. And the thing I love about My Patriot Supply, it's easy. You just get the water, turn on the heat, and in minutes, we are ready to go. Now, this food lasts for 25 years in special packaging, and yes, it does taste great. And in just minutes, it's ready to eat. Patriots don't rely on the government to take care of their family in emergencies. It's up to you. Order right now and get $200 off a 3-month food kit. It's important to go to preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. That's preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. Preparewithmandis.com. $200 off a 3-month food kit.
Traffic problems, and it may be causing a power outage. Right now, we've got an overturned vehicle with only the right lane open, Briley Parkway northbound before Lebanon Pike. Then in Wilson County, we've got 840 northbound, the off-ramp to eastbound I-40, a crash there. And we just had a report of a power outage in the Lebanon Road area, and right now, Tennessee Outage Tracker is tracking about 14,538 people without power in Davidson County. Bad news if you're hoping to buy a home with the lower interest rate. A survey of nearly 2,000 registered Tennessee voters shows a Democrat making some gains in the U.S. Senate race. These stories and more at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Would you call it a surge?
I don't know if it's a surge.
All right. Looking forward to that. It's 9:27 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We're playing audio from Sound Investigations. They got a current CIA, former FBI official undercover admitting to all sorts of things about how the FBI gets as close as they can to entrapment without, technically doing entrapment. Said it reminded me a lot of the FBI's Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot. Got a text here on the Members Nutrition text line, 8959. She said, to the former intelligence officer, this proves two things. One, the rank and file of these agencies are as guilty as their bosses. Two, This guy was easily compromised and should lose his security clearance and his job. 100% agree with both of those. Many on the Members Nutrition text line are also noticing that this date that the gentleman is on is with another gentleman. Yes, I understand that as well. So, one of those things. I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
Don't think there's much to say.
I don't think there's much to say. I don't know. I think that's all I can say.
Very observing audience though.
We have the most, anecdotally, we have the most observant audience. But anyway, so he's talking about Alex Jones and how they're going after Alex Jones. They tried to go after him every way they could, but they couldn't get a federal suit, a federal charge against him because he broke no federal laws. Well, how do you go after a guy who's broken no federal laws?
So with Alex Jones, you were watching him long before anything ended up happening.
Probably. It wasn't my office, but I mean, we would have been well aware of what he was doing.
And the goal with him was what? Just to bankrupt him?
Pretty much. And we let the families do it.
And what?
We let the families do it.
Were they encouraged to do that by the Bureau? Like nudged?
We don't encourage people,
but like
we just say there's no federal statute being broken, but you do have the option for a civil case, and it's a pretty good case.
Nice.
In our opinion.
So, that makes so much sense.
Oh, that makes so much sense. You just tell the family that there's a pretty good civil case, in our opinion. We don't encourage, we just educate, he says.
This undercover guy isn't like even being mysterious about it. Like,
he's not that good.
No.
That's the thing that really surprises me the most. Like, is this guy very high up, or is he just being braggadocious?
Yeah. Trying to impress.
Trying to be so cool.
Yeah, I know all
this
this
guy
stuff.
doesn't like Alex Jones, so I'm just going to talk a big game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because there's a couple moments in there where he's like, so what influencers are you after? I don't even know some of these guys. Like the Fox News, what's his name? Rucker Tolson. You know what I mean? It's like, and then he says, well, we were after the Sandy Hook guy. He goes, oh, Alex Jones. Jones.
Yeah, I know that one.
I know him.
Yeah, if you're the CIA guy, you're not any red flags. That's yikes.
It blows my mind.
Yeah.
If this guy does have a security clearance, he should absolutely lose it. Alex Jones absolutely lost it when he saw this video, and he responded to it. I'll play that video for you, that audio for you, after Ken Weaver's newscast, which happens right now on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We are tracking the potential for some storms with muscle in them this afternoon. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now, inflation, according to the latest government report, just is not budging. Consumer prices were 3.5% higher in March than they were a year ago, inching upwards slightly and coming in higher than expectations. Shelter and gas, the two areas, recorded higher prices, but prices for utilities and some grocery items decreased in March, but not enough to make a difference. Here in Tennessee, a new Beacon poll is out. Beacon Center says it surveyed 1,197 registered Tennessee voters about political races, policy issues, and even Taylor Swift. On political races, Democrat U.S. Senate candidate Gloria Johnson has cut U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn's lead over her by 4 points, but Blackburn still leads Johnson by 16 points. Former President Trump maintains a 25-point lead and a head-to-head with President Biden, but that shrinks to 20% when you add independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. You know Busy Bee, and it's that time of the year where you need to call Busy Bee to make sure you get your system serviced the best way, the Busy Bee way with Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. If you're not getting your AC serviced, you are waiting for a problem to pop up this time of year. Don't wait. Be proactive so that way no problems come onto your horizon. Whether you need that annual maintenance, repair, or replacement plumbing, heating, and air system, the guys who I trust are Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. And if you do need to replace the AC system, if you've been waiting and waiting and waiting because it went out at the end of last season, you're like, I can tough it out. Well, it's going to get hot here before we know it, and then it's going to stay hot. If you need to replace that AC system, you're not going to find a better value on replacement systems than Busy Bee. They'll offer you up to 12 months with no payment, no interest, with approved credit, and it'll also pay in so many ways to become a Beehive member. That'll get you your annual maintenance on your plumbing, heating, and air systems. That'll get you front-of-the-line service should you have issues with your system. It'll get you no overtime charges 24/7 and 10% off all repairs. It will essentially pay for itself to become a Beehive member. Remember, Busy Bee has convenient Saturday availability for those maintenance calls, so you'll never be waiting all weekend long to have your AC fixed. Busy Bee, your Root Pro partner for satisfaction guaranteed. Call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833 or online at busybeehvac.com.
kind of put anyone in jail if you know what to do.
How?
You set them up.
Does the Bureau practice entrapment a lot?
We get really close. We call it a nudge.
A nudge.
A nudge. Sometimes you just gotta give them a quick little, just to see what happens. Sometimes you light the fuse and just wait for it to follow. Nothing like putting out a fake social media thing to like really get people mad.
Alex Jones.
Yeah, so we were after him.
You are?
Hardcore. We did what we wanted.
Which was what?
Took his money away, chopped his legs off.
That's Gavin O'Blennis. He's apparently a current CIA, former FBI, and he was caught on an undercover investigation by Sound Investigations, where he's talking about the FBI essentially practicing entrapment. He's talking about going after Alex Jones, and not just Alex Jones, but also digging into his followers, his supporters, and seeing where that could get them. He talks about encouraging the families at Sandy Hook to go after Alex Jones civilly because there's nothing they could do federally. Well, he didn't say encourage. He said, well, we don't encourage. We just educate and tell them it's a pretty good case in our opinion. Yeah, you tell me what that sounds like. I will say this. Not everybody's convinced. By the way, it's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. My neighbor texted me, who I consider a very smart guy. I don't know if you say former Marine. I guess once you're a Marine, you're always a Marine.
That's it. Yep.
Marine. Smart guy. He's not buying it. Said, this undercover leak of a supposed CIA FBI operative is a counterintelligence op itself. I doubt that dude has enough testosterone to even get through the FBI or CIA training academy. This is an op. Could be. I mean, we were talking about the red flags. If you're in intelligence, you don't realize that this guy's basically, I don't know. It's two guys on a date, so I don't really want to say pumping for information.
Oh, gee.
So I won't. He's trying to. He's trying to.
You got this.
I don't know how to say it. You know what I'm saying. He's trying to get intelligence out of him.
I mean, obviously. I mean, yeah, the questions are so pointed.
Like, what influencers are you after?
Exactly.
Tucker Carlson? And he's like, I don't know any of these guys. He's like, well, we were after the Sandy Hook guy. I can't remember his name. And like before he could finish the sentence, I can't remember his name. It's Alex Jones. His name is Alex Jones. Do you need his middle name?
Exactly.
So, I mean, there's red flags that I saw watching it as well. And if you haven't seen the video, you can find it on my Twitter page, at Chris Hand on Air. They have subtitles. It makes it a little bit easier to kind of make out what he's saying because they're in restaurants.
And we can't really see anything, right? It's just...
No, you can see it. You can see the former FBI, current CIA, Gavin O'Blennis in the video. And here's the thing that is interesting. The Alex Jones conversation takes place in two different restaurants. So they had one date, there was a conversation about Alex Jones, and then I guess there's a second date, and then the conversation picks back up.
Okay.
Wouldn't that strike you as odd?
Yeah, I'd be like, why does this guy keep asking me questions about Alex Jones, a case that was, years ago?
And we were talking off the air. It's like, if you really work for the CIA, you tell people you work in HR.
Yeah.
And all the conversations stop. Oh, I do IT security.
Yeah, exactly.
Web security. Oh, that's a field I have no idea about, so I'm not going to ask any more questions. I'm just going to say, cool. That's what you do. I would imagine. Not, we entrap people. So I get where you're at. I get where my neighbor's at, thinking that this is fake itself. But I will tell you this. One guy who didn't think that it was fake is Alex Jones himself. In fact, Alex Jones was quite upset about it. He went on Benny Johnson's show yesterday as this was dropping, because it just dropped yesterday. And Alex Jones essentially reacted to this in real time.
But now that this has come out, this is a FBI agent, a CIA boss. He's a contract manager over large contract operations. That's a boss. That's like a mini section chief, saying all of this and admitting all of this like it's no big deal. He needs to be subpoenaed by Congress. I am planning to launch a lawsuit against the CIA and the FBI. We have to bring all this out. And right as my bankruptcy comes to a close, and right as all this stuff's being finalized, it's really God working here that this came out at this time.
So Alex Jones is saying, I'm bringing lawsuits. I want Congress to subpoena this guy. I hope they do. I'd love to see what kind of answers we can get from this. It definitely feels like it confirms a lot of what we think about the FBI, right? And they go into more detail about FBI agents on the ground during Jan 6th. He says that he knew of 20 agents that were on the ground in the crowd. There's a lot more to the video than just the highlights I'm playing here. It's about 7 minutes in length, but you should check it out. But, Alex Jones seems pretty upset about it. Depending on who you ask, Alex Jones is controlled opposition himself. But Alex says, he's going to sue. And Benny Johnson asked him, what does an Alex Jones v. the government look like?
Well, I'm talking to different law firms right now that specialize in this. In fact, when I get off the feed with you, I'm going to get back on the phone with the lawyers. It's obviously a civil rights violation. It's a government racketeering operation using cutouts. And look, they come after my mother, my father, my wife. In these mediations, they've said, listen, just come out against the Second Amendment and we'll drop all this. They've done that repeatedly. And they've even said, listen, we're a mafia and there's nothing you can do to stop us, to my face, in front of my lawyer, in front of Norm Pattis. And so they're very arrogant. These are the sellouts. These are the traitors. These are the people that really love being under the corrupt FBI's wings, under the CIA's wings. They get a thrill. They get to go out and persecute fellow Americans, lie about them, say all these horrible things, and then say you said it, steal your identity, silence you so they can all pile in on you, make movies about themselves with judges and flash bulbs, and we're so great. We went out and got the big Goliath. No, you guys are the Goliath. I'm the David. You misrepresented what I did to make me a monster, and it's backfired.
All right, so that's Alex Jones reacting to it. Said, you guys are Goliath. I'm David. I guess what I wonder is what you think of it. Is it real? Is it fake? 615-737-9986. It has some truth in there that we all kind of look at and go, well, that makes a lot of sense. We know about the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot. We know about FBI agents on the ground during Jan 6th. We understand that these institutions are essentially corrupt. And it's been that way for a long time. Hoover himself was operating in blackmail. This has been since inception, right? But do you think that this is actually undercover, or do you think this is intentionally released? I'm curious. 615-737-9986. And if this is fake, why? What is the end goal here? Getting a lot of texts. People seem to be split on this on the Members Nutrition text line. 9058 says it's real. They just know they're untouchable. Interesting. Phil texted in and he said, I have to agree with the Marine, my neighbor. He says, this guy is just too sweet. 3747 thinks it's real. 5934 said, what if dude just knows stuff and is trying to get, laid? Possibly. Debbie says she's going to take it at face value until proven otherwise. 8695 says he's just trying to get under the covers. I get all that, and that's kind of where my head went first. He's being, but then it's like, is his information valid, or is he just being braggadocious?
Yeah, exaggerating stuff, trying to seem cool.
It could go so many different ways.
Yeah, I know. This is a tough one.
Alex Jones's reaction to it, I take at face value. And I think that will be proven true or false very soon. Does he file a lawsuit? That will
yeah, we'll know.
We'll know very quickly. In fact, he got off the interview with Benny Johnson quite quickly and said, I was supposed to be on a call with lawyers 5 minutes ago. Ray on the Members Nutrition text line says, I would say that it's probably real. And then I don't really want to read the rest of your text.
Ray basically said he wasn't thinking with his head. And he's thinking with a different head.
Yeah. There you go. Thanks. Todd, was Todd here on time? Todd says on the Members Nutrition text line, I think it's a rope-a-dope to keep us looking at this while they're doing something else. And yes, I'm late. Oh, thanks. He was not on time. Show starts at 9. Show starts at 9, Todd. 2433 said, too stupid. Have you seen and heard our leaders lately? It's all a clown show.
What a ridiculous clown show.
It's fair.
5294 said, talk about something else. We can't stop the FBI. And you can't fight City Hall, right? What else are we going to do here? Talk about something else. And a former FBI official and a current CIA official caught allegedly on hidden camera bragging about crimes that the FBI and the CIA commit. Talk about something else.
Yeah, come on, boring.
Talk about something else. Did you hear there was an eclipse Monday? Talk about something. What do you want me to talk about? I thought this story is fascinating. 2698 said it's not funny.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, 2698 to us.
Don't. This is not funny. Listen, I mean, I heard Mandis and the guys say it all morning. We have to laugh to keep from crying. We know a lot of these institutions are absolutely corrupt, and when stuff like this comes out, it kind of makes us feel like we're right. They are corrupt, and it's right in front of us. And this is one of the things I want to bring up because I don't know. You think we're going to see this on ABC tonight or NBC? It wasn't not a joke.
Sorry.
Do you think CNN's going to cover this? You think?
Oh, you're still. Oh, sorry. My fault.
Oh, jeez. 8759 says the question that we all want to know. Will Trump have the cojones to abolish the FBI day one? I hope so.
Interesting.
I hope so. I think it's time, right? Don't you think it's time? I think it's past time. Let's start something new. I think we should start something new.
Bingo.
Thank you. 2555 said it best. Just another day in America. It is not. It's 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Traffic problems. Still got only the right lane open. Briley Parkway northbound right before Lebanon Pike due to an overturned vehicle. Then a crash reported on the off-ramp 840 northbound to go eastbound on I-40. That's in Lebanon. Inflation is not budging. A new poll shows a Democrat making gains in Tennessee's U.S. Senate race. Part of a storm system moving this way hammered parts of Texas, and a former Trump family associate headed to jail today. These stories and more at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. Still getting through all of your reactions on the Members Nutrition text line about the story of the current CIA, former FBI official caught on hidden camera bragging about, the FBI entrapping people and going after Alex Jones. Sharon, who's a member of the Red Pilled Moms Club, she texted in and just dropped a red pill bomb. She said it's way past time to abolish the FBI, CIA, Department of Education, FDA, etc., because they're all corrupt. Yep. That's what it looks like in the Red Pill Moms Club.
RPMC from the top rope.
Get rid of them. 0255, first-time texter said, just a thought, anytime the Democrats are about to have a scandal be exposed, they put out social media and newscasts to distract us from a real story with merit that could possibly hurt their credibility. Then we're all left confused if it's real or not. When the real story drops, it's created to create doubt. I thought that was a good text. A lot of people feel that same way, 0255. Keep texting in. Malika on the phone has a quick thought, as Malika often does on Alex Jones. Malika, what's up?
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call. Yeah, they're trying to trick. It's real, unfortunately. They're trying to trick us so we can vote for the Democrats. I know. I ain't gonna do it. I care about this country. Thanks. Y'all have a great day. Go Trump.
All right. Well, don't hang up. Don't hang up, Malika. They're trying to trick us into voting for Democrats. Malika hung up. I told her not to hang up.
Dang it, Malika. You got to give her credit. She's quick. She's quick.
Malika.
In and out.
Malika gets it in like 20 seconds or less.
It's great.
Oh.
Love the show. Hey, guys, this is fake. Or this is real. They're all coming for you. Goodbye. Love the show.
They're trying to trick us into voting for Democrats. I'm not doing it. Go Trump. Nailed it. All right. Thanks.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Malika.
I love it.
When Malika called in, Mac said to me, he's like, all right, cool. We got a short break before the news. Malika's here.
Malika's perfect.
Perfect.
She doesn't bloviate. She just goes in and then she's done.
Malika. And we made the comment. Malika's like our only recurring female caller. We need more of those.
Yeah, we need more of those.
Red Pill Moms Club, where you at?
Yeah, come on. Answer the call or make the call.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Ten o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Inflation, according to the latest government report, is not budging. Consumer prices 3.5% higher in March than they were a year ago, inching upward slightly, coming in slightly higher than expectations. Shelter and gas, two areas that recorded higher prices. Prices for other goods were a little lower. Here's Elizabeth Schulze.
There were a couple of areas in this report. I was trying to find the good news for people. When you look at car prices, both used and new cars, those prices were down over the past month on a monthly basis. Airfare was also down, so some of the costs for travel that we've seen.
Yeah, but families are still spending about $200 more a month than they were a year ago. You still have to spend about $1,000 a month versus 3 years ago, and that's even with incomes rising over that period. Here in Tennessee, a new poll shows Democrat State Rep Gloria Johnson has cut into Republican U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn's lead over her in the U.S. Senate race. Beacon Center says Blackburn's lead over Johnson is down by 4 points, but it's still by 16%. Beacon Center says it surveyed 1,197 registered Tennessee voters for the April poll. And we're tracking the potential for severe storms in Tennessee. Parts of Texas getting hammered overnight. Jim Ryan says it was near Houston in the community of Katy.
It was closing time at Bourbon Street Sports Bar when the storm hit.
You start hearing basically the building shake. At that point, we were all like, get in the back.
Kevin Davis manages the bar. It's in a strip shopping center with a Firestone store that collapsed, littering the parking lot with new tires.
Fortunately, no injuries reported. Alan Weisselberg, an associate who has been loyal to the Trump family for 5 decades, is heading to jail today for 5 months. Prosecutors say Weisselberg lied about his role in inflating the value of Trump's penthouse apartment on Fifth Avenue in New York. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
.10:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Find me on True Social, Twitter, Instagram, at Chris Hand on Air. If you want to see that whole video of the CIA, FBI, former FBI official blabbing on a date, you can find it on my Twitter, at Chris Hand on Air. Whole thing's there. It's about 7 minutes long. I got a text from 8695. He said, I'll admit it. I'm all in now. Was there a third date? How did it go? Don't leave me hanging.
Now we're caught up in the romance.
Yeah, I don't know. They lived happily ever after. Yeah, I mean, that's all we got so far. I don't know if there's going to be more. It's a fascinating video. But check it out on my Twitter, at Chris Hand on Air. As we progress, the bill passed the Senate that would allow teachers to carry guns in schools. So it passed on Tuesday, would allow K through 12 teachers and school staff to carry concealed handguns on school grounds, despite vocal protests from Covenant school families, the Tennessean reports, their supporters and others seeking stricter gun control measures. The measure passed in a 26-5 vote that fell along party lines. Discussion over the bill halted as a group of around 200 gun reform advocates voiced their opposition in the Senate gallery. Several were holding up signs, and the crowd reacted by snapping their fingers in support or hissing in dissent. Was it really like a hiss? Did you hear the audio?
I didn't.
Was it like a hiss? I don't know. I feel like we could do better than that. And the snapping? It's a little lame. Right? I think that's a little.
Isn't that like those poem readings or whatever? Isn't that what you do?
So yeah, like deaf poetry.
Yeah,
jam.
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I was watching the news last night. I like this. Why wouldn't you want a teacher to carry? Why? Who opposes this? I saw a woman on the news last night, and she's yelling, she's huffing, she's puffing, she's so upset. She said 80% of Tennesseans oppose this, and I thought, no way. Of course, the news didn't cite where she's getting that 80% from. I don't believe that 80% don't like this. I have kids in school, talk to people all the time, talk to parents all the time. Why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want that? How do you feel about that? 615-737-9986. There were repeated warnings and disruptions. Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally called for state troopers to clear the gallery. He permitted a group of mothers of Covenant School students to stay, saying they had not caused a disruption. I'm sorry. Listen, if this Covenant school shooter knew that teachers were armed, maybe the shooter thinks twice before targeting the school. Maybe. Maybe the shooter stopped before more death and destruction is caused. If you can react in 30 seconds as opposed to calling police and waiting for them to show up, why would you not want that? Tennessean continues to report discussion over the bill halted as the gallery slowly cleared. Around 25 people initially refused to leave, drawing the attention of several state troopers. Eventually, troopers told those who remained they would be arrested if they did not leave. There is no reason for you all to go to jail, one trooper told the group. Still in their seats, debate resumed on the bill. Chants, cheering, shouts could be heard outside the Senate chambers. Beth Gebhard, a Covenant mom, called the Senate's actions appalling. I can't imagine the heartbreak of losing your child in a school shooting. I don't want to ever have to deal with that heartbreak. And I feel for this woman. But if a teacher was there or a staff member was there and was armed, could this have not stopped sooner? Heidi in Gallatin, what do you think about this? You're on Super Talk.
Hey, good morning. So I know that you just mentioned that 80% of Tennesseans believe that teachers should be armed.
No. She was saying the opposite. She was saying 80% oppose.
I do oppose. So I'm calling in to tell you why I oppose that. And husband is in law enforcement. I am a licensed gun owner.
Okay. Tell me why you oppose it.
So I have a son who struggled with some behavior issues in school, and I've had teachers make comments to him that probably were a little past the line of discipline. Do I want a teacher armed in the school? No, it's not their job. Their job is to teach the students. If we feel that we need armed protection in a school, then we need to hire those that are trained, law enforcement, SROs, to be in our school, and that is their sole job.
But you make it seem like you're, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that teachers disciplined your son and they kind of crossed the line on discipline with what they were saying, and that's why you don't want teachers armed? Do you think a teacher?
I don't think that they're adequately equipped.
But do you think a teacher would cross the line and use a firearm on a student?
Maybe pull a firearm on a student. Yeah, I do.
Do you think that would actually happen?
Yeah, I do. And if you think that it wouldn't, I think you're naive.
Really?
Yeah.
That's an interesting take, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. I have never heard somebody say that they would be worried about a teacher pulling a gun on a student.
There are teachers that probably are, and this is not the majority by any means, but there are teachers that do get a little stressed out in their environment. Maybe have something going on, and I don't think that, giving them a firearm or the right to carry a firearm, not everybody's equipped to carry a firearm.
Yeah, but not every teacher would either.
Right, right.
And
but how do we know that the right ones are?
Well, they would go through the training and they would be licensed, and that would be that.
Right, but we also know that there's licensed firearm holders that probably shouldn't be either. You know, I'm just saying we're putting teachers in a position that's not their job. Their job is to teach.
But they would be opting in.
Of course, they would have to opt in.
Nobody would be forcing them to do it.
Right. But
And
we
if
don't
there's-
know
but
that
if-
they
but
can
if there's-
handle those both roles in a school. Can a teacher handle both roles?
But if there's 30 seconds to react and a shooter's in the hallway,
Mm-hmm.
would you want a teacher that could go confront the shooter, or would you want a teacher that's going to go call police and have to wait a couple minutes?
No, I would like a teacher to protect the children, and I would like an armed officer or an armed SRO whose primary job to protect those students be in the school.
I think I think the quickest way in that situation for a teacher to be able to protect a student would be to confront the shooter, and not with a stapler.
In a perfect world, obviously. But I also think that, the teacher's role is to protect the students. Why can't we have both? Why can't we have
I guess I'm lost on how a teacher protects a student from a shooter when they're not armed.
Well,
covering up the window,
area.
but covering up the window and locking the door may work in some situations. It's not going to work in every situation.
Of course, and obviously we don't even want to have those situations in the school. I just think, though, for me as a parent, I would rather a teacher not be armed. I would rather there be someone trained to do that.
But in this scenario, the teacher would be trained.
But you'd also have, say, 30, 36, 40 students in a classroom, 10, 11, 12-year-olds, I don't know what grade, younger, say elementary. Can they provide those kids to a safe location and then retrieve her firearm? Is her firearm going to be, his or her firearm going to be in a safe location at all times?
I would imagine it would be on their person. And if there's
I guess it would have to be, for sure.
If there's 30 or 40 children in a room, do you want a teacher whose only defense is to lock the door, or do you want a teacher who actually has some defense against the shooter for those 30 or 40 kids?
I really am going to say I would rather the teacher not be armed.
I have to respectfully disagree with you, Heidi, but I appreciate your call and your input. Thank you so much. Mike in Dixon, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Mike?
Hey, good morning. Hey, no, I'm for this because I would rather have somebody there that can respond within less than a minute.
Yep.
Is not to. When I lived in Virginia, my daughter, when they had the school shooting up in Connecticut or Rhode Island, that never hit home to me till then.
Yep.
And then what happened here in Nashville at the Covenant School, I'd rather have somebody there who's been trained to carry a firearm, not just anybody, but go through the training to do it. But I'd rather have them there to do that. In Nashville, Davidson County right now, ain't that a big issue right now about having resource officers in the schools?
Yep. I can't recall the exact verbiage on the SROs in schools and where they're at currently. Do you know, Mac?
Going through this article, I think there's 600 schools in Tennessee who don't have an SRO, but as far as who do, I know everyone in Metro right now has an SRO.
Okay. Well, my thing is
not middle schools.
Not middle schools.
I mean, I'm sorry, elementary schools don't have SROs.
Okay. Well, I've got no problem with the teachers being armed. As long as they go through the training, I'd rather have somebody there that can respond quickly. So I've got no problem with that. I mean, like the previous caller there, anything is possible. Anything could happen. But if you got the people that go through the training, I don't foresee anything like that.
I'm with you, Mike, and I appreciate your call, man. Thanks so much. Let's go to Javier in Dixon. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Javier?
Yeah, good morning. I'm sorry, I just tuned in recently, so if this has already been answered, I apologize. Training seems to be something that everybody keeps bringing up, and that's my main question. What kind of training and for the record, I'm in favor of it. I think it's a great idea. I think it needs to happen, but proper training. What kind of training are they going to be doing? What recurring training are they going to be doing? Is all that addressed in the bill? I have to assume it is.
Mac, have you seen the bill? Is the training addressed?
According to the bill, those who wish to carry must first get an enhanced handgun carry permit and complete annual training with law enforcement. So it'd be 40 hours of training annually.
40 hours of training annually. Does that sound sufficient to you?
Absolutely not. Just real quick, military and law enforcement background. I was a firearms instructor, and I hate to tell you, but there's cops out there that have no business carrying guns. 40 hours a year? That's a box of ammo. That's ridiculous.
Where would you?
I'm in favor of it.
Well, with your background, what kind of training would you envision being, ideal?
Monthly range training. They need to have, 40 hours a year, I can get that behind that as far as like laws, going over the laws again, kind of keeping them updated as far as laws goes. But as far as pulling trigger, if they're going to be pulling triggers around kids, monthly. They need to be out on the range monthly.
Hey, I appreciate the call, Javier. Thanks, man.
No.
Kevin, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Kevin?
Hey, Chris, I'm for it, the training. I also would add to the training if they quarterly or a couple times a year would have training after school as if there was an active shooter in the school to familiarize themselves with what they would do inside the environment.
I like that idea a lot, actually. Yeah.
And also, let me add to this. I shouldn't say this, but I listened to Heidi talk. It sounds like Heidi has got a child with some behavioral problems, and she's more in fear for that child, and the teachers having to defend other students from him. So Heidi might be looking at home versus what's going on at school.
Yeah, without knowing Heidi, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I do agree with her in some sense. Some teachers shouldn't probably have guns, but that's just people. You know what I mean? That's a people thing.
That is. But with plenty of training and some in-house training in their environment, I think it would be absolutely fine.
Hey, appreciate the call, Kevin. Let's go to Wiley Jean in Winchester. What's up, Wiley?
First of all, it's Lila Jean, Lila, not Riley.
Lila Jean. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm a cell. So let me tell you a quick story, but before I tell you, I'm 100% for this. And one of the other things that they're going to require with this bill, by the way, is intensive psychological testing on whoever, decides to apply. Anyway, so for many, many years, I used to travel a lot, all over the world. One of the countries that I used to go to years ago was Costa Rica. The first time I visited Costa Rica, I was visiting family, so I lived in a little village, a little county. And the first time we went out into the township there, I noticed that every place you go, even a bank, you cannot just walk into a bank down there. The doors are locked. Outside the doors, big guy with a Tommy gun. And I'm talking like a real Tommy gun.
Interesting.
The schools, they're all gated. They're all, the entire country requires uniforms. They're all gated. 2 men, at least, with a Tommy gun. Every place you go, whether it's a shopping mall, a grocery store, and at first, I'm talking 1998, 1999, I didn't know what the hell was going on, and I asked my sister-in-law, is there a lot of crime here? She said, no, there's no crime here. You want to know what they don't have there? They don't have school shootings. They don't have mall shootings. They don't have bank robberies. Why? Because they're smart enough to know if you keep these people outside with guns, nobody's going to challenge them. And the entire country does that.
Yep.
That's why I've been talking about this for years.
An armed society is a polite society.
Correct. They don't have these major problems. Everybody will say, oh, they're a third world country. Well, they're a hell of a lot smarter than us. I'll tell you that.
I appreciate your call. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm for it. And Lila Jean brought up the fact that they're doing psychiatric evaluation. That's in the bill as well.
Yeah, so you got to get trained, psychiatric evaluation, and a sign-off from local law enforcement.
Got to get a sign-off from local law enforcement. We can argue about the training if it's enough or not. Javier called in. He has a law enforcement military background. He said that's not enough training. I'll take him at his word for that. I don't think that there's any minimum that is going to be enough. Like 40 hours a year does sound kind of light. But I think that this is a step in the right direction. And I think that if you know that this isn't a soft target, you're not going to be going in there. Schools are being attacked because they're soft targets. Plain and simple. And the only thing that can stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. It's 10:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, still got traffic backed up to Donaldson Pike, a 40 westbound due to that overturned vehicle. Only the right lane is open there, Briley Parkway, right before Lebanon Pike northbound. Inflation is going in the wrong direction for another interest rate cut, and a new poll sheds light on where Tennessee registered voters might stand in the U.S. Senate and presidential races. These stories and more at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We're talking about the bill that would allow teachers to pass to carry handguns or firearms in a school. What do you think about it? Getting a bunch of texts. We had a guy call in, Javier, who said he was former military, former law enforcement, doesn't think 40 hours of training a week is enough. How many texts did I get?
You've got a bunch now.
A bunch of people saying, listen, 40 hours of training a year is about 3 hours of training plus per month. And that sounds good to them. A couple people saying, don't be gullible and fall for what Javier said. Well, okay, well, consider me gullible then. So I was like, 40 hours does sound kind of light. But when you break it down like that, I mean, if you're going to the range every month or the Glock store, you got the Shoot 270 rooms, that sounds 3 hours a month. That sounds pretty sufficient. Does it not? I want to get your reaction on this. So they would have to have 40 hours of training a year, psychological evaluation, and have it signed off by law enforcement. Did I get everything correct? I think that's what it was.
Yep.
All right, John in Manchester, you're next. What do you think about teachers with guns, John?
Hey, I'm a police officer currently, former military. We do 40 hours a year. We do 8 hours gun training. That's all that's required by post. And the amount of training required is perfectly feasible. I'm all for it. I think it's a good idea. As far as teachers having guns in school, it would help law enforcement in a situation where we have to be there for an active shooter or anything like that. Having the support of teachers in those situations to react quicker than we could get there.
Hey, I appreciate the call, John, and thanks for your insight, man.
Uh-huh.
So it seems like everybody likes this, at least everybody that listens to our station, right? We had one caller, Heidi, who disagreed. She's worried about teachers possibly pulling guns out on students.
We've had some texters disagree.
We've had some texters. So we had one caller. We've had some texters disagree.
We've had some texters.
Yeah, we've had a couple texters disagree. But Heidi called in, and she had disagreed, and she said, she's worried about a teacher pulling a gun on a student. But I guess if you're getting a psychological evaluation beforehand, I mean, wouldn't that limit that? Steve in Bedford County, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Steve?
Hey, good afternoon. How are you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
Good. One quick point, or a couple quick points. Both my daughters are educators in Bedford County school system, and I 100% support this, especially out in the rural communities where response times can be a little bit longer. And then kind of to Heidi's point, you kind of already touched on it a little bit, the psych evaluation, that should alleviate any issue with, kind of a rogue teacher pulling a firearm on a student. And then the training, 40 hours a year, if it's spread out quarterly, that's more than adequate. Hey. And one quick point on the Covenant moms, God bless them, and I just can't imagine the loss of a child, but maybe if we had all the facts of the case, that still holding on to a lot of the facts of the case, nobody really knows what happened. Maybe they have information that we don't, and if the police and the school would release more of the facts to the public, we could make a more informed choice.
Hey, I hear you, Steve, and I appreciate your call. It's 10:30 on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We're still in that level 1 out of 5 risk for severe storms today. We'll tell you more about it during the full forecast in 2 minutes. Inflation in this country is up 3.5% over last year. Housing, food, gas areas recording higher prices. Here's more from Elizabeth Schulze.
The other expense here that people are looking at is services. So when you think about the things you spend on your day-to-day life, medical care, car insurance, those costs that are just monthly expenses continue to tick up higher, and that's one of the reasons why we're seeing this persistently high inflation.
Here in Tennessee, Beacon Center out with a new poll showing Tennessee U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn and former President Trump firmly in lead of their respective races among registered voters in the volunteer state. But Blackburn's lead over the leading Democrat challenging her is down 4% from October. Blackburn still leads Knoxville Democrat State Rep Gloria Johnson by 16%. Trump leading President Biden in a head-to-head by 25%, but it's cut to 20% when you put independent Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in the mix. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
1035 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We're talking about the Tennessee Senate passing the bill that would allow teachers to carry firearms in schools. Some fiery protests. Some may call it an insurrection, what happened. I won't. So it goes back to the House. Then they're going to vote on it. Then it'll go to the governor's desk. I would imagine it's going to pass in the House, right?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I'd imagine so.
Yeah. I like this. But I want to, enough about me. What do you think about it? 40 hours of training a year, psychological evaluation, law enforcement has to sign off on it. They're going to know which teachers are carrying. 615-737-9986. Former state rep Brandon Ogles wants to call in and weigh in on this. Hey, Brandon, what's up, man?
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for calling in. What's your take on all this?
Well, I think being that it passed the Senate, it most definitely will pass the House. The question will be is what form it stays in, and then what, the Commissioner of Safety, Jeff Long, who is my former sheriff, and the governor do with it between now and next year, as well as the implementation date. Discussed a lot before. I had the original SRO bill for the governor that put $50 million towards putting SROs in our schools. I also had the threat assessment teams and cybersecurity bill. A couple things just to look at the details that we talked about this before is the retention of the firearm. My big kind of preaching point on this, and something that I always encouraged, was to be sure there's a level 3 retention, just like our law enforcement have. That way, if a student were to grab the weapon, the teacher has it in a holster, it's not easily coming out. I hope that's part of the final legislation.
So level 3 retention is how the holster holds the gun.
Yeah, for instance, most 99% of the departments have a level 3 holster, which means you just reach down and pull the gun out of the holster. It has to have you have to kick it forward, push a button. It's something that makes the retention of the firearm much more complicated in the case of where a student or somebody else were to come up behind you or beside you and just reach down and grab for your gun. That makes retention a whole lot better. Another thing we talked about and discussed is less than lethal options in the classroom, and then also communication options in the classroom. For instance, if a teacher were to go armed, what do they have? What mechanism do they have to communicate with our first responders as far as getting a call out or communicating with those first responders? Because unfortunately, as you well know, 40 hours of training, just because you're doing firearms training, does not put you in direct contact with children. That's not a live fire incident where you've got moving multiple, I would say, friendly targets in the background.
Mm-hmm.
When I was with Williamson County and we did this training, we literally brought in ex-military Delta Force operatives to train us in SIMS live fire incidences. So when those first responders were to pull that trigger, they knew exactly where that round was going, the ballistics of what happened with that round, and what caliber they were carrying, as well as times not to take a shot. And because your first responders have level 3 body armor, and sometimes you may have to sacrifice yourself and go and tackle somebody and let your backup be put in a position rather than take a shot where, you could ultimately, have to sacrifice a child with a stray round. So when you talk about training, I hope they talk about training with the SROs and local law enforcement. Going to a gun range and clinking off some rounds is not, I don't think, sufficient to put yourself in that situation. And I'll quit talking now and answer some questions.
Do you think that it would be more sufficient for them to be training inside the actual school where they're carrying?
Most schools do training inside their facilities. Most school systems that have SROs, those SROs do that. I would hope the training that these teachers take is actually with the SROs and the local law enforcement, more on-site, because unfortunately, I know they're going to be cleared by the sheriff right now, but when those first responders come around that corner and they see a firearm, that teacher has about a quarter of a second to comply completely, or they're going to be the next person that takes rounds. I mean, those first responders are not going to sit there and negotiate whether or not that person has the right to hold that firearm when children are in play. They will quickly be dealt with. And unfortunately, that may lead to incidences that you put first responders in a position of actually taking the life of somebody that meant well, but just in the time of high stress didn't comply with an order quickly enough. So I think when you think through training, it's not just send a teacher to a gun range. I hope it's send a teacher to have a day or multiple days to train with their local law enforcement, local SROs on how to handle themselves in that situation. We're not talking about pulling the trigger at 3, 7, 15 yards on a static paper target at the Glock store.
No. Well, the Glock store has the shooting rooms and all of that kind of stuff. But we're talking to former state rep Brandon Ogles. Now, they said that teachers would have to undergo a psychological evaluation before being allowed to carry in schools, and that the local police department would have to sign off on it. Do you know what a psychological evaluation would look like in that kind of scenario?
I think it'll be very similar to the law enforcement evaluation, where they're going to. I mean, you've just got to really be a dummy to fail one of those. I mean, I hate to be blatantly honest, but, the questions are, do you have thoughts of hurting yourself? Do you have thoughts of hurting someone else? If so, how would you do it? I mean, these are not going to be polygraph tests where they're looking for, a needle to move a little bit on some trick question. I know that's going to be in there, but I don't put a whole lot of confidence in that. Personally.
Really? Do you?
I mean, everybody watches TV and movies. I mean, you can Google the questions that are on those psych evals pretty quickly. It's pretty standard. It's pretty standardized test. Anybody that's got any level of training or taken one, the questions, every one I took was very similar and always the same.
So in this scenario, who is going to be covering the cost of training? Is it going to be the staff member? Is it going to be the school? How does that work?
We'll have to look at the final details of the bill. I know in years past, the fiscal note is what ultimately kept the bill from really being considered, because there was several amendments. I amended one year, putting, a duty belt, less than lethal, and a radio, some other things like that, and that pushed the fiscal note a little bit. I think the people that didn't agree with that said you're basically making the teachers SROs, and I'm fine with that. I mean, if you want to carry, why not have the same level of training as the SROs, and really meet a dual role purpose. I've got no problem with people if to go armed in these situations if they receive proper training, just like our SROs do. But when we drop the standard in a situation like this, is problematic in the fact that this is not you can debate the constitutional right of going armed, but we've already kind of set a threshold in Tennessee to say if you go armed on schools, there's a much higher bar. I hope we're not going to lower that bar just for the sake of ease. I would hope every teacher that goes armed would seek out the highest level of training. So I hope we provide a much more robust level of training than just a minimum requirement. So I look for the governor's office and the Department of Safety to really step in on this, and even if the legislation is not robust, to offer some much needed aid and support to these local municipalities and school districts to get these teachers up to speed.
Hey, I really appreciate you calling in. It's former state rep Brandon Ogles. I do have to ask, when Mark Green said that he wasn't going to be running for re-election, you announced a bid for the 7th congressional district. Are you still going for the 7th congressional district?
No, not running against Mark. Mark's a good friend, and when Mark, when President Trump called Mark and really wanted him back up there, God willing, Trump gets elected, and Mark's up there, chairman of the department. I mean, I had no intention on running against Mark. Mark's a friend and doing a great job, and we need him where he's at, chairing Homeland Security, if not in a different role for the president. So, open seat.
People like you, and they like your cousin Andy, and they say they want more Ogles representing them. What's next for you then, Brandon?
Well, we'll just wait and see. I mean, I don't know that our Democrat colleagues definitely don't want to see more Ogles and don't want to see more conservative values in the state. But Andy's doing a good job. Andy works hard. I feel like I'm pretty OCD about legislation and working on this stuff. And I'm very thankful for having the opportunity and time to do that. And just, Tennessee really needs some good conservatives pushing forward. We're really having it at a crossroads where some of these major corporations are moving in, and with the PAC money and the millions and billions of dollars in play in Tennessee, you're really having some pressures exerted towards, I would say, traditional Republican votes that you could count on that you can't count on anymore. And unfortunately, these races have gotten very, very expensive.
Yep.
And sometimes a bad voting record, it's hard to overcome with low turnout. So really need people to watch the votes and see what their representatives are doing and their senators are doing, and hold them accountable.
So what do you think are the most important things that we should be focusing on in this election year as it comes to Tennessee? What should we be looking for in the people that we're electing?
Gosh, I mean, there's so many.
I mean, hey, you can't just call in and not have me put you on the spot.
I know. Well, here's what I get. Here's what I've known from spending 4 years up there.
Yep.
When you see issues that are headlining in the news press, and I'm talking about your news 245, and when Phil Williams is talking about something, you better know that there's something much more important that's getting overlooked. And a lot of these bills that, are front and center and, are getting a lot of the press and people are fighting about, those are normally not the ones that take your rights away as a citizen, and those are not the ones that will hurt your pocketbook. It's the stuff that Finance Committee's doing on amendments last minute. It's sometimes bills that are not even talked about and don't even make the headlines. So what you have is an incremental, I would say, degrading of our constitutional rights, a lot of times for the sake of big business. I don't think politics anymore in Tennessee is so much Republican versus Democrat. It's really mega corporations and big businesses versus kind of Bible Belt Tennesseans. And the two are very much at war. Your chambers of commerce and your big metropolitan areas do not have the voting interest of the majority of Tennesseans in mind. So I think that's what you're going to see in the years to come. Is the big battles are going to be your big business versus, I would say, Tennessee values.
Well, and you say that 2, 4, and 5, they're not covering what we need to be paying attention to. How does the average Tennessean stay informed on what's really going on? Like, what steps should the average Tennessean take to make sure that they're educated on what's really happening?
Well, I think your network does a good job. I mean, you have some good conservatives calling in and kind of speaking to some issues. There's also some conservative outlets that have kind of popped up the last couple of years on social media. I think the Tennessee Conservative seems to be pretty solid.
Brandon Lewis, he's a good guy.
Yeah, I mean, those guys, even Gary Humble, love or hate him sometimes, he really jumps in the weeds on legislation like a lot of people haven't. Gary and I talk from time to time. Most of the time we kind of see eye to eye. When we don't, we battle pretty hard, but he's always respectful. Those kind of publications that are really jumping in, I'd say getting in the weeds, but really watching legislation are good. The major networks are just kind of pushing their agenda, and they're really pushing issues that are key to their major donors and who's buying ads. They're in the business of making money, and they've got to keep their people happy. So
that makes
that's
sense.
What they talk about.
Hey, real quick, we're talking with former state rep Brandon Ogles. Where do you stand on the Tennessee school voucher bill?
Man, that thing has just changed so much. Back in 2019, I was the swing vote to bring that out of committee, and that was the hardest vote I've ever had because I love my public schools tremendously. Don't ever want to see them hurt, but fundamentally, I do believe that parents should have some rights and say on how their tax money spent with their children. The latest version. The cost is just everything the government touches just gets fatter and fatter and bloated, and this is a perfect example of that. I need to see the final version before this thing gets done with, but
it doesn't sound like you're sold on it.
I've never been sold on it completely. I understand the fundamental argument and the right for as you as a taxpayer and you as a parent, if you decide to take your kids to a private school and not a public school, that money to follow the child.
Yep.
But the math has to work. And so many times in government, I mean, I wish we would to be on finance in the House or Senate, you should be able to pass a 5th grade arithmetic class. and you have legislators that can't do that. The state over and over talks about ROI. I asked what the definition of ROI was because I studied finance at Lipscomb, and I couldn't get an answer. We come up with things in state government for reasons why we spend so much money, and we can't give voters an explanation of what that even means. So I get pretty fired up when we start coming up with some math that doesn't really add up. And this voucher program, the math is hard to stomach at this point. Not to say that I don't fundamentally believe in the thought of your money going with the child, but gosh, the math doesn't seem to work right now for me. But that being said, I look forward to seeing the final version.
I hear you. Former state rep Brandon Ogles. Hey, thanks for calling in, man.
Thank you, sir. Anytime.
Hey, appreciate you. It is 10:54 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and I want to talk to you about my friends at membersnutrition.com. Membersnutrition.com, they are bringing you affordable, quality vitamins and supplements from right here in America. Not from overseas in China, from right here in the USA. All the vitamins and supplements at membersnutrition.com are made here in the USA. You can't say that about the vitamins and supplements that you're buying on the store shelves at the big box store. But you can say that about membersnutrition.com. And it doesn't matter what type of vitamin or supplement you're in the market for. It could be immunity. It could be weight loss detox. It could be men's health, women's health, relaxation supplements. They have it all at membersnutrition.com. And they're all made right here in the USA. Taking care of your health is your priority. One of the things that I've tried at membersnutrition.com is the Youthful Cleanse by Daily Defense. If you think about it, everything we eat is garbage. It's processed. It's junk. It's putting toxins in your gut. The air we breathe is putting toxins in our body. Stress levels nowadays, insane. terrible for your body. And that gut health, that liver health, that colon health is so important. And you can flush out all those toxins with the Youthful Cleanse by Daily Defense, available exclusively at membersnutrition.com. It is a great first step in your journey to getting healthy, and you can get it now at membersnutrition.com, again, along with so much more, and they're all made in the USA. Go see what they can do for you now at membersnutrition.com. That's membersnutrition.com.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Checking traffic, we've got in West Nashville, the off-ramp is blocked 40 eastbound to go eastbound on 440 because of a crash. In Donaldson, you still got that overturned vehicle. Left 2 lanes are now blocked. Briley Parkway northbound before Lebanon Pike. Rolling roadblocks. This is to fix potholes. 40 eastbound before Bellevue. That's Bellevue Highway 70S. And then in West Nashville, you got a crash, right shoulder block, 40 eastbound at 46th Avenue. So quite the mess in traffic out there. Just about an hour before we take lunch. Well, inflation, according to the latest government report, is not budging. Consumer prices, 3.5% higher in March than they were a year ago, higher than expected. Shelter and gas, 2 areas recording higher prices. Prices for other goods were lower, but not by much. And President Biden is blaming grocery store chains. Here's Karen Travers.
President Biden says the new inflation report shows his administration has, quote, more to do to lower costs for hardworking families. Consumer prices rose 3.5% in March compared to a year ago. President Biden acknowledging prices are still too high for housing and groceries and called on grocery retailers to use what he says are record profits to reduce prices. Still, the president trying to find some bright spots, saying there's progress when it comes to rising wages, higher incomes, and low unemployment.
Americans still have to spend about $1,000 a month versus 3 years ago, even with incomes rising. And right now in Tennessee, a new poll shows how registered voters feel about the U.S. Senate and presidential races. The Beacon Center says it surveyed 1,197 registered voters, and U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn and former President Trump holding commanding leads in their respective races. Blackburn leads Knoxville Democrat State Rep Gloria Johnson by 16%, but that's 4% lower since October. And Trump leads President Biden in a head-to-head by 25%, but that dips to 20% when independent Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is put into the mix. Governor Lee, by the way, has 48% of Tennesseans approving of his job performance. Only 28% disapprove. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. Hey, it's Chris Hand for USS, United Structural Systems. We're going to get some rain today. It's that season where we're going to get a lot of rain, and that rain could be finding its way into your crawl space in your basement. If you're having those issues, you do not need to stress. You just need to call USS, United Structural Systems. They're your waterproofing experts. They've been doing it since 1994. So after we get the rain, do a couple checks around your house. Walk around and see if you have cracks in your basement floors, wet basement walls. Maybe you've noticed some standing water in your crawl space. Those are all telltale signs of water making its way into your home when it shouldn't be, and you should call USS to come take a look. They'll come up with a custom plan and solution for you, and they won't leave until the work is done and you're satisfied. They actually have 25,000 satisfied customers in Middle Tennessee, and when they leave with a lifetime warranty that doesn't leave if you move out of the house. That's how confident they are in their work. So if you're getting water in your crawl space or basement, call USS. But if you have other issues, they can help you as well. From sinkhole repair to foundation repair to basement wall realignment and more, they do it at United Structural Systems. 615-488-7855. That's 615-488-7855. Or all of this is online at USSTN.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. So we've heard the conversation that, coming across our southern border are all types of undesirables. We've heard Trump lambasted for calling murderers, pedophiles, gang members animals. But it turns out he's right. There actually are a lot of gang members coming across the southern border, and they're setting up shop in many different cities, from Chicago to New York to L.A. to Phoenix and everything in between. Some reports say that these gangs are operating in every city. We've heard this before. I played a clip of a Chicano gang member from Los Angeles talking about this some time ago, that these guys are setting up shop and they're getting ready for something. If you recall, I played this.
I tell my kids all the time, hey, mijo, look at all these vatos that are coming right here. They're all coming right here, a gang of them. They're getting ready for something.
They're getting ready for something, he said. And then I saw a viral video the other night of a Chicago resident who is talking about just that there are gang members coming across the southern border, and that people need to be aware of this, that they're forming gangs. A Chicago resident said that.
So I told y'all about what was going on in Chicago, and they took my video down. Why don't they want me talking about what's happening in the hoods across the country right now? They took my video down because I told you that they are forming gangs from these other countries across the hood in the U.S. right now. They took my video down because I said my friends are calling me and telling me that something is going on and that they are on every street corner all through the hood.
So she says that she posted a video and that there are gangs in every street corner across every hood in America from countries not the U.S. And she's kind of alarmed by this. Now, when I first saw this video, I didn't take it at face value. Maybe the video got removed because there's no evidence to support that. Maybe, right? But she says the video that she posts keeps getting taken down.
And on that video, people in New York, in Colorado, in Phoenix are all saying that the exact same thing is happening. Why don't they want us to talk about that? We better wake up and we better start talking to each other, because it looks like they are using us, and they are going to use this open border issue as a way for us all to go against one another. The video hasn't even been up a whole hour. It had almost 25,000 views, and they know that something stinks, and we're hip to this shit.
So she says, my video's been up. People are commenting on it. They're saying this is happening in their cities too. So I saw that, and I'd take it with a grain of salt. I don't know who this woman is, and I'm not sure, how accurate the statement is. Although I tend to believe she's pretty accurate. Well, last night I saw another video. News Nation is reporting that, in fact, there are gangs forming in every city in America, and they're from Venezuela, actually.
Trinidad Agua gang is Venezuela's most dangerous gang, and according to federal officials, members of this gang are taking advantage of the ongoing border crisis and entering the country illegally. Now, according to U.S. Border Patrol Chief Jason Owens, Border Patrol agents arrested this man on the Texas border, a Venezuelan national and a known member of the Trinidad Agua gang. According to Owens, Trinidad Agua gang is known for murder, drug trafficking, sex crimes, and more. And in New York, another member of Trinidad Agua gang was arrested, Venezuelan national Yerben Lozada Munoz was taken in Friday by ICE agents. He was previously arrested in March for allegedly squatting in a home filled with guns and drugs. And a few weeks ago in Chicago, agents arrested another member of the Trinidad Agua gang. Aldelves Rodriguez Carmona is accused of being involved in a drive-by shooting. He entered the country illegally in 2022 in Eagle Pass, Texas. And an immigration lawyer who works with Venezuelan migrants says that these gang members are everywhere, and many of his clients have been threatened by them.
So there's gang members everywhere. Trinidad. I'm probably butchering that. But they're peddling drugs, guns. They're participating in sex trafficking, human trafficking. And they're in every city. Even an immigration lawyer hopped on News Nation to say yeah, this is happening, and these gangs are threatening his clients.
The trend that I was operating in all of our cities at this point, I take pictures of them, I send it to law enforcement, and I'm notifying all other governmental agencies when I get information on these people. But they're operating in Houston, they're in LA, they're, like you said, they're in Chicago, New York, Miami, they're everywhere.
These gangs are everywhere. And what is being done about it? You don't hear them talking about this on ABC, CBS, NBC. I mean, shoot, they barely talk about the border as it is. And what is Joe Biden's administration doing about it? Well, turns out nothing. In fact, Joe Biden's agencies are actually even failing to initiate deportation proceedings against hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens released into the United States. Those figures were detailed in a letter from Jim Jordan and Tom McClintock, and they indicate that the Biden administration is failing to file notice to appears in federal immigration court for illegal aliens that have been released into the United States. So they're not filing the notice to appears. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And the Department of Homeland Security would be supposed to start those deportation proceedings had they filed those notice to appears. So now Jim Jordan and Tom McClintock, who serve as chairs of the House Judiciary Committee and the Immigration Subcommittee, respectively, they're writing that it's around 200,000 illegal aliens have had their deportation cases dismissed because the Department of Homeland Security failed to file those NTAs in their cases. So 200,000 people should be deported. But the Department of Homeland Security, they failed to file this NTA, this notice to appear, so their cases are dismissed. This is according to a recent report. Since the beginning of the Biden administration, immigration judges have had to dismiss roughly 200,000 cases because DHS failed to file an alien's NTA with an immigration court. They write, for aliens in the United States, including those encountered at the border, generally, the filing of an NTA begins the process to potentially remove the alien from the country. Because an alien's removal proceedings do not begin until DHS files the NTA with an immigration court after it's served on the alien, DHS's failure to file NTAs has resulted in hundreds of thousands of cases dismissed under the Biden administration for DHS's failure to prosecute. In comparison, there were only 15,546 dismissals for failure to prosecute from fiscal year 2017 through fiscal year 2020. So when Trump was president, that only happened 15,000 times. Since Biden has taken office, it has happened over 200,000 times. The Biden administration's DHS has subsequently filed an NTA in only a quarter of the cases that were dismissed. As the report notes, DHS's inaction blocks off immigration courts' valuable limited time by scheduling hearings for cases that do not legally exist and leaves aliens in legal limbo. So the Biden administration is ignoring these NTAs that they have to file, so then they can't start deportation proceedings. And at the same time, we're hearing that gang members are taking up root in every major city in America. Should some of these gang members have been deported? I would imagine so. I'd even argue probably some of these gang members have been deported already and stuck back into the country because of Biden's inaction on securing the southern border. But failure to file NTAs resulting in 200,000 illegal aliens having their cases dismissed. Unbelievable. Now Jim Jordan and Tom McClintock are asking Alejandro Mayorkas to provide them with the number of cases that the Executive Office for Immigration Review has dismissed after the agency failed to file NTAs. They want the exact number, and they want to know those cases where DHS eventually filed an NTA. They say the committee is concerned with DHS's inaction, which exacerbates the nation's already backlogged immigration courts and creates additional chaos in the Biden administration's immigration crisis. They go on to say the revelation that the administration is failing to initiate deportation proceedings for hundreds of thousands of migrants comes as the nation's immigration court backlog has topped 3 million cases on Biden's watch. 3 million cases in the backlog on Biden's watch. The overwhelming majority of these illegal aliens do not have valid asylum claims. They should be deported. But the inaction by the Biden administration is leaving them in what they call legal limbo. Unbelievable. But not surprising. Not surprising at all. The House Judiciary also wants answers when it comes to the illegal alien who is accused of raping a mentally incapacitated 14-year-old girl. Are we not allowed to call this illegal alien an animal? Is that dehumanizing? Asking for a friend. Jim Jordan and Tom McClintock, again, are pressing Department of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, for details regarding this case, where an illegal alien in Alabama is accused of raping a mentally incapacitated 14-year-old girl. If this illegal alien is found guilty, the death penalty is too good for him. Last month, Breitbart News reported that 23-year-old Pablo Mendoza was arrested by police in Enterprise, Alabama, and charged with first-degree rape. According to prosecutors, Mendoza raped a physically helpless or mentally incapacitated 14-year-old girl. Criminal aliens exploit vulnerabilities in our nation's immigration system to the detriment of those in the United States, Jordan and McClintock wrote to Mayorkas, 1819 News reports. They stated in the letter, the Biden administration's border and immigration policies only increase the likelihood that criminal aliens will successfully enter and remain in the U.S. Yeah, and when they are failing to file NTAs, they are definitely going to be staying in the U.S. because they're going to have their cases dismissed. Jim Jordan and Tom McClintock go on, pursuant to the rules of the House of Representatives, the Committee on the Judiciary is authorized to conduct oversight of federal immigration policies and procedures. To assist the committee with its continued oversight of federal immigration policy and procedure, we ask that you please provide the following information and materials regarding Pablo Mendoza. That is the illegal alien that is accused of raping a mentally incapacitated 14-year-old. Jordan McClintock, they want Mayorkas to provide the committee with information on how he got here, including whether he benefited from the current administration's parole pipeline and if he has a history of illegally crossing the southern border. And they want Mayorkas to respond to the request within 8 days, April 18th. They want an answer by April 18th. Will we get the answers? Probably not. I mean, on numerous occasions, Mayorkas has been less than forthcoming with information on illegal immigration. Recently, Breitbart reports, for example, Mark Green, our own Mark Green, he told Breitbart News that Mayorkas refused to hand over details on the illegal alien from Venezuela charged with murdering 22-year-old Laken Riley. And Mayorkas also has yet to provide Jordan and McClintock with the numerical breakdown of illegal alien releases at the southwest border. So I don't want to say hold your breath for these answers, but I wouldn't hold your breath. It just keeps getting worse at the southern border. It's enraging, in all honesty. It's absolutely enraging. But don't call them animals because they'll accuse you of being an evil, bad person. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and I want to tell you about my friends at Paul Winkler Inc. Listen, your financial future is your responsibility, but you don't have to do it alone. You can do it with Paul and his team at Paul Winkler Inc. You know Paul. He hosts the Investor Coaching Show every Saturday here on WTN from 3 to 6. It's a great show. I've learned a lot listening to the show. But you may not know that he started that show after he spent time studying under an economist who went on to win a Nobel Prize. That's how Paul cut his teeth. That's his background. It's pretty cool. And my wife and I, we work with Paul. He's an avid collector of financial planning designations. He has up to 8 now, and it's fascinating to hear him break those down. But we heard him on WTN way before I got my show here, and we were learning from him way before I got my show here. So when I did get the show here, me and my wife both knew we wanted to work with Paul. And one of the reasons is because they hold themselves to the highest level of fiduciary status. And how does he do that? Well, he makes sure that I tell you I'm paid when I do these commercials. That's the truth. I like the transparency. I'm here for it. But I'm not paid to be a client. I decided to be a client because I've learned so much from Paul, and I can learn so much more. You can too. And one of the things that his team does, which is so different from the rest, they don't do anything on commission. You can be sure that when they're helping you make financial decisions for your future, it is for your future and not theirs, because nothing is done on commission. They'll educate you along the way so you never get that uneasy feeling of blind trust, and they'll look at your whole financial picture before they help you make decisions, because your financial picture is going to be unique to you, and there's going to be a unique game plan to help you set up your financial freedom for the future. But it starts by setting up a 15-minute phone call, and you can set up that 15-minute phone call today by hitting up the website, paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com.
Big traffic problem. This is going to be in West Nashville. The 40 eastbound off-ramp to go eastbound on 440 is blocked by a crash. In Donaldson, got an overturned vehicle blocking the left two lanes. Briley Parkway northbound right before Lebanon Pike. Rolling roadblocks in Bellevue, 40 eastbound. And crash right shoulder block, 40 eastbound at 46th Avenue and 51st Avenue, exit 205. President Biden putting some of the blame for persistent inflation on grocery stores. This story and more at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We can't keep letting grocery stores get away with it.
No, sir. How dare they try to make a profit?
We should Bud Light grocery stores.
we should just stop eating.
Yeah.
Of course, that's probably where we're headed.
What is going on in this country? And if the grocery prices don't have you down, maybe the Venezuelan gangs on the street corners will.
Yeah.
I got a text here from TB. He combined two topics. TB said, why don't we just arm the teachers and then send them to the border? Pretty good idea. Pretty good idea. Jeff in Hendersonville wants to talk about Mayorkas. Jeff, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, man?
Hey, I'm fired up. I just hopped in my car. We're a little hungover today. Sorry. We're doing our YouTube channel, making some cocktails, and my wife's like, I could really use a Culver's burger. So I pop in there, and I pop in the car, and I turn on the radio, and I just hear your comment about Mayorkas is refusing to give Laken Riley's parents or is refusing to divulge any information about her killer. If that is factual, I'm through the roof. If I was that parent, I'd be going postal, man. This is so wrong on so many levels, and it's bad for the illegals as well. It's clear they're being used, but where's the accountability? And I could go on, but that to me is unconscionable. It's unacceptable. Why aren't we rioting? Because I'm there, man. I'm done. That is so wrong. Maybe I heard you wrong.
No, so this is according to Breitbart News. Breitbart reported that House Homeland Security Committee Chairman Mark Green, we know Mark, he's from Tennessee, told Breitbart News that Mayorkas had refused to hand over details on the illegal alien from Venezuela charged with murdering Laken Riley.
My God, that is all right. I'll stop there. Man, people, this is at what point do we get together and march on Washington? This is so wrong. Where's the oversight? Where are the Republicans on this? All right, I'll stop there. I'll let you do your thing. Thanks for taking my call.
No, Jeff, I totally understand where you're at. It's absolutely infuriating. So they're also pressing Mayorkas for information on the, quote unquote migrant who was accused of raping a mentally incapacitated 14-year-old in Alabama. And they said, you have till April 18th. And I don't know. Do you think we're going to get any of that information? Probably not.
Wow. Wrong on so many levels, man.
You're absolutely right, Jeff. I'm with you, man. It is infuriating. Thanks for your call. And sorry to get you upset while you're, just trying to go to Culver's.
Yeah, come on, man.
Like, I'm just going to Culver's for a cheeseburger.
He needs a burger.
And this is what he has to deal with.
Now I'm hungry.
Have you ever had a Culver's burger?
Come on. Yeah.
I haven't.
What?
Never.
Whoa. Worth it.
Really?
I think they're great.
Better do it before next month's inflation report.
And on that note, here's Ken Weaver with the headlines on Super Talk.
11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Tracking the potential for some severe weather here in Middle Tennessee. We're still at a level 1 out of 5 risk. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Well, President Biden is putting some of the blame for persistent inflation on grocery chains, while acknowledging his administration has more to do about prices that are still too high for housing and food. Biden called on grocery retailers to use what he says are record profits to reduce prices. And in Money News, Jim Ryan.
Analysts were expecting a rise in inflation last month, but the actual number is higher than predicted. The Consumer Price Index for March rose 0.4%, putting the 12-month inflation rate at 3.5%. That means that a reduction in interest rates probably won't happen in June after all. Investors have reacted by pushing down the Dow Jones by 470 points. The S&P went into the midday 1% lower. The Nasdaq was off 1.1%.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at the Glock store. Listen, I heard Matt and Dan talking about the Glock store, not even just talking about it, raving about the Glock store for so long. And I kept thinking to myself, yeah, it's a gun store. Like, that's cool. Like, I'll check it out at some point. They have a range. Maybe I'll go shoot. How different can it be? Well, I got to tell you, I was wrong. I went and checked it out and marked the tape. Matt and Dan were right. Chris Hand was wrong. The Glock store is not just a gun store in range. It's amazing. This store is so big, so bright, so beautiful, completely stocked to the brim and staffed with the friendliest, most knowledgeable people ever, especially if you're asking them about home defense and self-defense. I mean, that's what they specialize in, that and custom Glocks. The most beautiful custom Glocks that you have to see to believe. They can do anything. And a lot of the performance parts, they make all of them right here in Nashville. From pyramid triggers to extended controls to tungsten guide rods, And even better than the fact that they make them here, they install them for you for free while you wait. But my most jaw-dropping moment while touring the Glock store was when I saw the Shoot 270 indoor ranges. Because I pictured what it would be in my mind, but what I pictured didn't do it justice. Because what they had to offer, or I guess what they didn't have to offer, is insane. They don't have lanes. They have private shooting rooms with personal instructors. And the shooting rooms are gorgeous. I cannot wait to have my first session here in a couple weeks. I'm going to go down there and train. At a certain point, I'm going to get my wife to come down there and train with me as well. She can't wait either. If you are in a position where you need a Glock and you need some training, do it at the Glock store. Online at theglockstore.com. They're minutes from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on Air. Mac Maury is my producer. He's also on Twitter, at MacJMaury25. Mac is worth the follow.
Appreciate it. If you need a little sports infused in your politics, I'm there. A little humor.
If you like sports ball.
A meme every now and then.
Do you do memes?
Not as much anymore, I guess.
I stopped sending them to you because you don't react.
Well, you send me them on Instagram. I'm bad at Instagram.
It's just a little message box.
Yeah, I need to just honestly get notifications in my Instagram so that way I see them.
I took you off of my top 5 because they limited how many people you can send memes to on Instagram. You can only
I'm not in the rotation.
You can only do 5. I took you out of rotation.
Dang, that hurts.
So Mac doesn't do it. You're a one-off now.
I mean,
for special occasions.
For meme farmers such as you, I mean, the list is important.
I am but a humble meme farmer. I tend to my fields, and that's what I'm supposed to do. Tennessee Senate passed the bill requiring parental consent for minors on social media, so minors won't be meme farming without parental consent. Tennessee Conservative has this. The Tennessee Senate passed legislation that will require social media platforms to use age verification and obtain parental consent for minors. Jack Johnson brought the Senate Bill 2097 before the floor, moving to conform to companion House Bill 1891. The bill is also known as the Protecting Children from Social Media Act. It will require social media platforms to use age verification for all individuals who sign up to use the service. If a minor signs up, parents must provide consent for them to stay on the platform. Additionally, the Tennessee Conservative reports platforms would be required to provide ways for parents to view and access the minor's account, including privacy settings. An amendment was added to the bill to clarify that the requirements were only for social media companies. It was specifically stated that it would not apply to online shopping venues, sites intended for career opportunities, payment platforms, cloud storage, and cloud computing services, or sites that were intended for the receipt of technical support. With no questions on the legislation, a vote was taken. The bill passed with 30 ayes and 1 present not voting. So if signed by Governor Lee, the law would go into effect January 1st, 2025. I like this. And I'll tell you why I like this. Social media is an absolute cesspool. It is no place for children. I don't think that you should allow your kids on social media at all. I do my best to not even do my best. I don't let my kids on it. I do my best to not even let them have any technology as best I can without, making them just weirdos in the world of tech. But social media in and of itself is so dangerous. Chrissy Clark, who's a Turning Point USA contributor, a friend of mine, she lives here in Nashville. She wrote an article for Turning Point USA's live feed yesterday exposing a Facebook dating group for 8-year-olds. She wrote that it may be a breeding ground for child predators. Yeah, I would imagine. Apparently, it's a Los Angeles-based dating group. And it's for children as young as 8. And it was uncovered on Facebook by Libs of TikTok, who I also know. She does great work. The group is called Dating Group for people 8 to 15. What parent is allowing their child in a dating group at 8 years old? I really want to know. It advertises itself as an American group to make new friends or to find a date or to find a bestie, and the group states that LGBT teens are welcome in the group. It gets way worse. It gets far more awful. There are prerequisites to enter the group. Minors that want to enter this dating group on Facebook for ages 8 to 15, they have to introduce themselves. They have to tell everyone who they are. And in the introduction post, which includes identifying information, they have to post a picture of themselves. This is why kids shouldn't be on social media. It's terrible. They say, upon entering the group, you're required to make an introduction post with age and a photo of you. Your very first post must include photo age. If you refuse to make an introduction post in the group page, you can be removed from this group. And remember, your post must have your age and a picture of you. Thank you. So Haya Reichik, the creator of Libs of TikTok, she was posting all this stuff. And this dating group for people ages 8 to 15, they have this nice artwork, right? It's got Donald Duck and Minnie Mouse in the artwork. It has pride flags in the artwork. Based out of Los Angeles for kids 8 to 15. But Libs of TikTok exposed it even further. If you look at the profiles of the people in this group, are you looking at this right now?
I'm not.
Adult males. The people in this group are adult males. At the very least, over 30. So it's a dating group for LGBT, friendly teens, 8 to 15. And the profiles that have joined this dating group for these LGBTQ kids are adult males. Facebook went on record and said it doesn't violate their policy. This is after Libs of TikTok reported the group to Facebook. Unbelievable. Facebook does say that they have an age limit of 13, right? So 8-year-olds shouldn't be able to have a Facebook page anyway. It's disgusting. If your kids are on social media, you should take them off. You should do everything in your power as a parent to not allow them on social media and avoid tech for as long as you can, as long as humanly possible. They say this dating group, Chrissy Clark writes on the live feed article on Turning Point USA's website that the online dating group for minors was uncovered shortly after Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill into law banning kids under the age of 14 from using social media platforms. That legislation mandates that 14 and 15-year-olds have to obtain consent from parents before using social media platforms. And it looks like Tennessee is on the way to doing that as well. I urge them to get this passed immediately. And Facebook, what an absolute cesspool. I mean, Meta in general, they own Facebook, they own Instagram. Instagram was busted for their pedophile codes and all the like many times. The Wall Street Journal reported Instagram connects vast pedophile networks. How Instagram's algorithm connects and promotes pedophile networks. These are things that we've seen time and time again. Why would you let your kids on this? Why? CBS News, they had an article. Even the mainstream media is admitting this stuff. Facebook and Instagram are steering child predators to kids, New Mexico Attorney General alleges. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Adam in Columbia, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Adam?
Hey, Chris. Concerning social media, I have a unique aspect on it. When I was in college, I'm 39 years old.
Okay.
When I was in college was when Facebook started as actually college Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to have a college email account to get on it.
Yep.
So that's my experience with social media. Here about 5 years ago, cut it off. And I'll say I took a brief break from cutting off because I joined X when Tucker Carlson joined X and did his thing with Elon Musk. It's surprising the effect that it has when you go cold turkey on social media. I'm a tobacco user, and the addiction, I could say, was very similar to tobacco. I was constantly grabbing my phone wanting to look at Facebook, but I don't have the app anymore.
Yep.
all that to say that after the time that you get away from social media, you get away from all the government berating back and forth, people having preconceived notions about people because of what they see on Facebook, it makes life so much easier. Your interactions with people off of Facebook are better because you're not involved with social media.
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, Adam, if it wasn't for the job I'm doing now, I most likely would not be on social media.
It is a breath of fresh air, and I highly recommend it. Kids don't belong on there. I really and truly thinking one should be on social media until they're 18. And I don't have kids. I don't have a dog in the hunt. But at the same time, it's not good. It's not good.
I hear you. I appreciate your call, Adam. Thanks so much. I'll end with this on the Members Nutrition text line. Sally said, I want my EMP. I feel like that some days too, Sally. It's 11:48 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's 11:54. So Murphy was in here, and he's sitting here. He's like, I need to get water. This happened like 20 seconds ago. So I need to get water. We got time? Like, yeah, you got time.
Yeah, bro, you're good.
Like, you got plenty of time.
Murphy asking you, knowing you don't know how much time.
I don't know. I didn't have any idea. And I told him, I said, we got plenty of time.
Of course.
So I told you we had time.
Yeah, see? It's all good.
What's up?
If Chris Hand will lie to me, he'll lie to America. That's all I know.
I wasn't lying. You're here.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
You're good, bro.
Take calm. Had a little something in my throat. Man, I need something to drink. Go ahead. No worries.
I think that you getting a drink is far more important to make sure that you're operating at peak efficiency.
I don't know about anybody else, but in order to listen to my radio show, I need a drink.
Yeah.
I feel like others think the same way. How's your show going?
What do you think I do on my lunch break, Murphy?
The show...
Drink, get kicked out of dog parks by old ladies.
That's it, yes.
Has he ever told you that story?
No.
I don't think we've ever talked about that.
Oh, man. Weird. Have you seen her again?
I haven't.
Have you been back to that dog
I
park?
have, and I've heard about her even since. So I know she still goes there. I just haven't run into her.
Oh, tell the story, man.
So I get a little bit of time on my lunch break. I don't live too far from home, so I've got a dog there. I go visit my dog, take her on a walk. I say, let's go to the dog park. There's a dog park literally just a stone's throw away. We'll walk over there. Got 20, 30 minutes, run around, play with some dogs, throw the ball. And I start to, enter the dog park. I open the first gate. Most dog parks have two gates. So I open that first gate, and I'm getting like a weird vibe. There's like 5 or 6 people, 4, 5, 6 dogs in there, and like they're all kind of looking at me. But only like one of them's looking at me in a particular way, like I'm about to say something. And I was like, hey, just sorry guys, I'm just gonna come in here,
There's a vibe. You pick up a vibe.
I pick up an awkward vibe right away. I'm like, hey, I'm coming in kind of thing. Like, I don't know, why is everyone staring at me? And she's like,
do you have a baby eating pit bull?
No, this is a beautiful,
little
45-pound red healer. She's just gorgeous. Copper's amazing.
Would not eat babies.
Would not eat babies.
Okay.
And this woman looks at me and she's like, oh, yeah, no, my dog's getting weird energy off of yours, so I'm sorry. You just can't come in here.
What?
No, I looked around just like that. I looked around and go, what?
What?
You see? And I just felt I didn't know what to say. So I kind of, next time I'm going to handle this differently. But I kind of just was like.
I get what you did, and I get why you did. He left.
I left.
He left.
I was like, okay. And I felt like a wussy after, but I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, I get those vibes.
I didn't know what to do.
I can kind of feel in real time. You're like, oh, okay. Maybe there's something that I'm not understanding
maybe I don't
here.
know. Yeah.
Maybe a dog just died or something.
Exactly. We just had a huge event, some incident.
So I've been desperate for him to encounter this woman again so he can reclaim his manhood.
Yes.
You have to.
I have to now.
So because that woman's currently walking around with your stones in her purse.
Exactly. I control this dog park.
You didn't tell Hannah about this, did you?
That's why she said yes. She said, oh, well, in that case, let's go.
We know who runs this house. No, it's ridiculous.
I don't know why you let that happen.
I don't know either. I regret it. This is probably why I didn't tell you.
I would have.
And now I feel shame.
I wish I was there for you.
I felt the same way. It's like,
I don't need you.
But I can also understand in the moment, it's such an absurd situation. You're like, what? There must be something that I'm not understanding about this deal right now.
Yeah. You're flabbergasted.
This person thinks they own the dog park and can tell me I can't come in. Oh, okay. I'll just walk away.
Well, and the looks of the other people just told the whole story of like, this woman's a nuisance. They were like, dude, it's bad. They're like, we don't know how we got in here, kind of thing.
She's like, she's the doorman at the dog park. She's got a list. Sorry. You're not on the list.
Anyway. So that's what McMorrie does.
So I didn't know your dog gave off weird vibes.
What do you say?
Your dog.
Yeah, my dog gives off weird energy.
Hand is blaming your dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's what he's doing.
Weird energy. Don't talk about my dog's energy.
How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you take your dog to a place designated for dogs?
I'm like disappointed for you and angry for you at the same time.
You should go. You should go to the dog park with him.
I will.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. His bouncer, his dog park
I'll be
bouncer.
like, no, you got to leave. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.